Close your eyes and let the night soften around you. Tonight, we drift into a sanctuary of symbols, sacred signs whispered across centuries, drawn by the hands of mystics, carved into stone, painted under starlight. Each symbol carries a story, a prayer, a secret thread that ties the human spirit to the divine. As you rest, these ancient emblems will guide your dreams, carrying you through temples, deserts, rivers, and skies where faith once bloomed like eternal light. Let us walk slowly together, step by step, through these symbols of peace and power, until sleep finds you wrapped in their embrace. If this journey soothes your heart, you may gently subscribe so more stories can find you. And if you wish, share in the comments where in the world you are listening from, so our circle of dreamers may feel closer across the night. The night is quiet now. A gentle hush has fallen across the world. The air is still like a pond unbroken by wind. You are safe here, resting, listening, drifting. Beyond your closed eyes, a story waits, soft, ancient, and slow. There was once a time when silence itself was considered sacred. Long before clocks and engines, before the hum of cities, people gathered in places where quiet was more powerful than words. In those forgotten courts of stone, where torches flickered against high walls, silence was not emptiness. It was a teacher, a presence, a gentle hand guiding the restless soul. The stone of silence was one such teaching. It was not a weapon, nor a chain, nor a cage. It was a lesson carved in law and in memory. When a person had broken the peace of the community, when their words had cut too deeply, or their actions had carried too much noise of anger, they were brought before the elders. There, the punishment was simple. Not pain, not exile, only silence. Imagine the hall where this took place. The walls are tall, carved from pale stone that holds the cool of night. Torches burn low, their flames bowing and swaying as if in prayer. The air is heavy with the smell of smoke and cedar wood. The crowd gathers but speaks no word. No cough, no whisper, no shuffle of feet. Every face is calm, every hand folded in stillness. It is as though the entire world has agreed to breathe slowly, together. At the center of the hall stands a single stone seat, wide, simple, without ornament. It is smooth, worn down by years of use.
This is the stone of silence.
The guilty one is led to sit upon it. Not bound, not struck, simply seated. The punishment begins. There is no speech, no one to argue with, no one to accuse or defend. Only the stillness of the hall. Only the long, echoing breath of time. For hours, sometimes for days, the one who sits must remain. They must carry silence like a garment. They must learn to rest beneath its weight. At first the mind rebels, thoughts race, the body shifts. The silence feels heavier than chains. But slowly, gently, it begins to soften them. In silence, they hear the beat of their own heart. They feel the tide of their own breath. They notice the smallness of their anger, the way it fades like smoke when no one fans its flame. They notice how thoughts rise and fall, like waves upon a shore. The silence, once heavy, begins to feel like a river, flowing, cleansing, carrying the restless spirit back toward calm. The stone of silence was not meant to break. It was meant to heal, to remind the soul of its own stillness, its own gentleness, its own quiet power. It was not punishment in the way we imagine today. It was a mirror, a place where the noise within was allowed to settle, until peace rose like dawn. You can picture the scene. A young man, perhaps quick with words that harmed, now sitting in silence. At first his face is restless. He fidgets, looks to the ground, looks to the shadows, waiting for something to end. But the silence stretches on. The stone is cool beneath him. The air moves slowly. The flames whisper. And little by little his shoulders drop. His breathing slows. His eyes grow heavy, or perhaps a woman, weary from quarrels, seated upon the stone. The hush holds her like a cradle. At first she resists, but soon her thoughts quiet, her spirit softens. In the silence she begins to remember the songs of her childhood, the voices of elders now gone, the laughter of streams and the wind in tall grass. The silence is no longer empty. It is full of memory, full of light. Those who left the stone of silence often rose with gentler faces. They returned to their people changed, not broken, not shamed, but softened. The silence had worked like water upon stone, slowly, patiently, reshaping the heart. There is wisdom in this, even for us tonight. For silence itself can be a teacher still. When you lie in your bed, when the world grows still, silence gathers around you like a cloak. It is not a void. It is not emptiness. It is presence. It is the gentle breath of the stars. It is the calm of ancient rivers. It is the hush of temples long gone. As you rest now, you too sit upon a stone of silence, not in judgment, not in punishment, but in peace, in the kindness of stillness. Your mind may wander, your thoughts may stir. That is natural, but the silence will carry them away. Like leaves upon a slow-moving stream, they drift and are gone. Imagine yourself within that hall. The torches glow. The air is cool. The stone beneath you is firm and steady. All around you is silence, a silence so deep it feels alive. You are not alone in it. The silence keeps you company. It listens with you. It breathes with you. Some say silence is the language of the soul, that within it prayers are heard more clearly, that within it the heart opens like a flower. The ancients knew this. They gave silence not as cruelty, but as a doorway, and as the guilty walked through it, they emerged lighter, calmer, truer. Perhaps that is why the story of the Stone of Silence has lingered, even when other punishments were forgotten, because silence is never truly lost. It waits.
It is always near, hidden beneath the noise of daily life.
But when the noise falls away, silence is revealed again, steady, patient, endless. Now as the night deepens around you, the same silence gathers close. It rests at your side like a gentle guardian. It smooths the furrows of your brow. It slows the rhythm of your heart. It cools the restless fire of the day. And as it does, you soften into it. You surrender to it. You become part of it. The Stone of Silence is not far away. It is here, within your own stillness. Every breath brings you closer. Every pause draws you deeper. It is not punishment. It is peace. Let the silence carry you now. Let it cradle your thoughts and wash them into calm. Let it remind you of your own strength, your own gentleness, your own deep and endless quiet. For in silence nothing is demanded of you. Nothing is taken, only rest is given. So close your eyes a little deeper. Loosen your hold upon the day. Allow the Stone of Silence to hold you. Cool, steady, eternal. It waits, not with judgment, but with love. Not with harshness, but with calm. The hall fades into shadow. The torches dim. The air grows cooler. All that remains is silence. A silence that carries you into dreams. A silence that wraps around you like soft cloth. A silence that whispers, "Rest, rest, rest, now you drift." The story becomes softer. The words become fewer. Only silence remains. Let us drift onward. Let us drift into the hush of night. Now rest as the stars return. The night deepens. The stars lean closer, glimmering like quiet eyes in the heavens. The air is cool, touched with the faint scent of wood smoke. Somewhere in the distance, a drum beats softly. Not hurried, not loud, only steady. Like a slow heartbeat guiding you into rest. The world feels hushed, as though it waits for the flames to speak. Imagine now a circle of people, gathered beneath a dark sky. There are no walls here, no stone courts, no iron chains. Only earth beneath bare feet, sky stretching endlessly above, and a great fire burning in the center. Its light flickers against the faces of the people, painting them with gold and shadow. Each face is calm, yet watchful, waiting for what the night will bring. The fire crackles. Sparks rise into the sky, joining the stars. The smoke climbs upward in slow spirals, carrying prayers, secrets, and silent hopes. The fire does not judge, but it reveals. It casts shadows upon the ground, shadows that sway and tremble with every breath of wind. Long ago, among certain tribes, the fire was more than warmth. It was more than light. It was the witness of truth. When someone had done wrong, when anger had spread or dishonor had wounded the harmony of the tribe, there were no prisons, no shackles. Instead, there was the fire. The one who erred was brought before it, not to be beaten, not to be cast away, but to sit in silence before the flames while the shadows danced. The people formed a circle around them, not to accuse, not to jeer, only to hold space. For in the glow of firelight no falsehood could remain. The flames revealed what words often hid. The shadows moved across the ground, across the faces, across the guilty one's own body, a living mirror of their restless spirit. At first, to sit before the fire was unbearable. The heat pressed close. The smoke stung the eyes. The shadows twisted in strange shapes, making the heart feel small. But as the hours passed, something changed. The fire lulled the restless thoughts. The endless crackle softened sharp emotions. The smoke rose like slow-moving prayers, carrying the burden of guilt upward until the spirit felt lighter. The punishment was not pain. It was endurance. the endurance of sitting in truth, of letting the fire's light touch every hidden corner of the heart, the endurance of waiting, of being still until the shadows no longer frightened, but became gentle companions. You can picture it now. A young hunter, perhaps, quick to anger, brought to the fire after a careless quarrel. At first he shifts uncomfortably, avoiding the eyes of the elders. The smoke makes him cough. The heat feels endless, but time stretches. The fire crackles on. His eyes grow softer, his shoulders lower. He begins to watch the flames not with resistance, but with wonder. He sees the dance of embers, the rising smoke, the way the fire gives warmth to all without asking anything in return. And slowly his anger fades, or perhaps a woman who has spoken harshly in the village. She sits before the flames with downcast eyes. At first she feels shame, heavy as stone, but the shadows shift across her face, reminding her that shame too passes. The firelight touches her gently, as though to say, all can be renewed. By dawn her heart is calm, her words softened. The circle of firelight was a sacred place. Not a place of cruelty, but of transformation. The wrong was not erased, but it was healed. The one who endured the smoke and the shadows returned to the tribe with a lighter spirit. They carried the memory of the fire's lesson, that to face the truth is hard, but to emerge from it is freedom. As you listen now, imagine yourself before such a fire. The night is cool. The stars shimmer above. The flames rise tall, casting warmth across your skin. The shadows dance along the earth like gentle spirits. There is no judgment here, only stillness, only the fire, waiting to carry away what you no longer need. Your thoughts flicker like sparks. Your memories rise like smoke. Your body softens, heavy and safe upon the earth. The fire holds you. The shadows cradle you. You breathe deeply, slowly, like the tribe once did long ago. The fire becomes your companion. Its voice is a low crackle, steady and calm. Its warmth is a blanket. Its light is a gentle guide. The shadows no longer frighten. They sway like dancers, quiet and kind, reminding you that even darkness has beauty. Some myths say that shadows are the spirits of ancestors, drawn close by firelight to watch over the living. Perhaps it was so. Perhaps those who sat in the circle felt not only the gaze of their people, but also the presence of those who had walked before them. The shadows whispered, remember. The shadows whispered, endure. The shadows whispered, heal. Now the night deepens around you. The fire grows softer. The smoke rises higher, fading into the endless dark sky. The circle of people grows still, their eyes half closed, their bodies swaying gently with the rhythm of the flames. There is no anger here, no harshness, only the quiet endurance of the fire. Let your own heart rest in this endurance. Let the firelight smooth the edges of the day. Let the shadows carry away what no longer serves you. The flames will hold it all, and in their warmth it will be transformed. The fire fades now into embers. The smoke thins. The shadows lengthen, then grow faint. Soon only starlight remains, soft, endless, comforting. Rest here. Rest in the circle. Rest with the fire that has always burned in every age, in every heart. Your breath is slow, your body heavy. The story grows quiet. The night is deep. Let us drift onward. Let us drift into the hush beyond the firelight. Now rest as the stars return. The night continues, slow and gentle. The stars have gathered more thickly now, like dusting of silver across deep velvet. The air is cool, touched with the faint fragrance of grass and earth. Far away an owl calls once, then fades into the silence. You are resting safe, drifting deeper into the soft currents of story. Tonight, let us step into an old ritual. A ritual not of stone or fire, but of taste. A simple cup, a simple sip. A lesson carried in bitterness and in patience. Long ago, in villages and temples, healers tended both body and spirit. They knew that discipline could arrive not in chains, not in wounds, but in the quiet endurance of the tongue. When someone had lost their balance, speaking too quickly, acting too harshly, straying from the harmony of the tribe, the healer would not strike. Instead, they prepared a cup. Within it, herbs of the field, gathered with care, leaves dark and strong, roots pulled from cool soil, bark ground into powder, all steeped in hot water until the steam rose fragrant and sharp. The cup was bitter, not deadly, not cruel, but sharp enough to awaken the senses, to remind the drinker that not all of life is sweetness, that patience too is nourishment, and endurance too can cleanse the soul. Imagine the scene. A small hut of wood, its walls lined with bundles of drying plants. The smell of sage, mint, and wildflowers fills the air. At the center, a clay pot rests over glowing coals. Steam curls upward, slow and twisting, carrying with it the bitter scent of herbs. The healer moves calmly, their hands steady, their face serene. They pour the liquid into a simple cup carved from wood, worn smooth by many hands. The wrongdoer is brought forward, not shamed, not beaten, only seated upon a low stool, the cup placed gently into their hands. They look down into the dark liquid, hesitant. The healer says no harsh word. The punishment is not in scolding, but in the sip itself. At first taste, the bitterness is sharp. The tongue recoils. The throat resists. The body wishes to spit it out, but the healer waits, and the drinker swallows. The warmth moves downward, settling heavy in the belly. It is not poison. It is medicine. It is a lesson. The cup is not always finished at once. Sometimes the drinker must pause, closing their eyes, breathing deeply before continuing. The bitterness lingers on the tongue, clinging, stubborn, impossible to ignore. Yet as the minutes pass, something shifts. The taste becomes familiar. The sharpness softens. The drinker learns to accept it. They begin to see that even bitterness has a place in life. For sweetness can spoil if taken too often, and bitterness, though hard, can strengthen the spirit. Just as the body learns through labor, the heart learns through endurance. The healer watches. Their eyes are calm, their hands folded. They do not mock. They do not smile. They only wait as the herbs do their quiet work. When the cup is emptied, it is set down upon the earth. The punishment is complete. And yet, it does not feel like punishment anymore. It feels like cleansing. Those who drank from the cup often left with softened eyes. They had faced the bitterness and endured. They carried with them a memory that life too would bring tastes not always sweet. And yet, with patience, with calm, even the hardest moments could be swallowed, digested, transformed. You can picture one such moment. A young shepherd, quick-tempered, brought before the healer after harsh words against his kin. The cup is placed in his hands. He frowns, scowls, hesitates, but at last he drinks. The bitterness makes him cough. His eyes water. He pauses, but he does not stop. Sip by sip he empties the cup. When he stands again, the fire in his heart has cooled. The bitterness has taken it away, or perhaps an elder, stubborn in pride. The healer offers the cup. The elder, though wrinkled and strong in years, drinks it slowly. The bitterness humbles them, reminds them that all spirits, young or old, must learn endurance. By the end, their pride has softened into wisdom, and their voice into calm. The cup of bitter herbs was more than discipline. It was symbol. It was reminder that harmony requires patience, that life offers both sweetness and struggle, that to accept both is to walk in balance. As you rest tonight, you too may taste the memory of that cup, not on your tongue, but in your spirit. The days of your life hold sweetness, but also bitterness, moments of ease and moments of trial. Each sip shapes you. Each taste carries you further along the path, and yet here, in this moment, in this night, you are safe. The bitterness has already been swallowed. The day has passed. Now comes the sweetness of rest. Now comes the calm of silence. Now comes the soft nourishment of sleep. Picture yourself in the healer's hut. The herbs hang above you, rustling faintly in the night breeze. The steam curls upward, fragrant and warm. The cup rests in your hands, heavy, solid, real. You raise it to your lips, sip and swallow. The bitterness touches you, then fades. It leaves you lighter, calmer, emptier of burden. The fire in the coals glows lower. The healer's eyes grow soft. Outside, the moon shines quietly, silver and steady. The punishment has passed. The lesson remains. Endurance has become peace. Now the hut fades. The herbs fade. The cup grows lighter in your hand, then vanishes. All that remains is rest. Rest in the sweetness of silence. Rest in the coolness of night. Rest in the calm that follows the bitterness. Your body grows heavy. Your breath grows slow. Your spirit drifts into gentleness. The lesson is complete. The story is complete. Let us drift onward. Let us drift into the endless fields of sleep. Now rest as the stars return. The desert waits in silence. The sky above it is vast, stretching from horizon to horizon like a great canvas of fading blue. Evening settles slowly, and the first stars rise, shy and tender across the twilight. A soft wind moves across the dunes, shaping them, reshaping them, as it has done for countless ages. The grains of sand shift and whisper together, making a sound like the hush of distant waves. Here, in this wide and empty land, lessons were once carried out. Not lessons of harsh wounds, not chains, not fire, but a softer test, a teaching woven from the smallest of things, a single grain of sand. Ancient healers and elders knew this truth, that even the smallest burden, when carried long enough, can feel heavy. A grain, light as breath, is nothing alone. But many grains, placed together, can weigh down even the strongest shoulders. So in the desert, the guilty were taught with sand. Imagine the scene. The tribe gathers at dusk. A circle forms upon the golden ground. The air is cool, the last light of the sun painting the dunes in soft amber and rose. The one who has strayed from harmony steps forward. They kneel before the elder, who holds a simple basket. Within it rests a small pouch of sand, gathered from the earth itself. The elder does not raise their voice. They do not speak of anger. Instead, they tie the pouch with twine and place it gently upon the wrongdoer's back. The pouch is light, so light it seems no punishment at all. The wrongdoer may even smile, thinking the burden is nothing, but the desert teaches in silence. For the one must walk, step by step, across the shifting dunes. They carry the pouch of sand. At first it feels like nothing. The shoulders lift easily. The spirit feels untroubled. But as time stretches on, the lightness begins to grow heavy. The straps press against the skin. The grains shift and settle with every movement. The back begins to ache, the shoulders tighten. The once small weight becomes sharper, more demanding. The desert sun fades, the stars gather overhead, and still the walker moves. Only then does the lesson unfold. The elder's teaching is not cruelty, it is reflection. For the pouch of sand is not truly heavy. It is the memory of unkind words, of careless deeds, of mistakes left unspoken. Carried long enough, even the smallest guilt becomes a burden. It presses down grain by grain until the heart longs to be free. You can see it now. The walker pauses on a tall dune, breathing hard, the stars watching quietly above. The desert stretches endless in every direction. Each grain beneath their feet glitters faintly in the moonlight. They lower the pouch for a moment, feeling the relief. They understand. It is not the sand alone that weighs them down, it is what it symbolizes. The weight of what has not been released. At last, they return to the circle of the tribe. The elder steps forward. The pouch is removed. The burden falls away. The lesson has been learned. The wrongdoer bows low, not out of fear, but out of gratitude. For the desert has shown them, when guilt or anger is carried too long, it grows heavier than stone. Better to set it down, better to release it, before it hardens the heart. Many such stories echo in the sands. One tells of a young hunter, quick to anger. He was given the pouch, small and light. He laughed as he walked at first, mocking the ease of it. But hours passed. The laughter faded. His back bent lower, his steps slowed. By the time he returned, his anger had melted away. He saw how his pride, too, had been a burden heavier than the sand. Another tale speaks of a woman who carried the pouch through the night. She had spoken harshly to her family, wounding them with words sharper than stones. As she walked beneath the stars, each grain of sand became those words. She felt their weight pressing on her. By dawn she was weary, yet also softened. She returned to her kin and laid the pouch down, whispering her regret. The burden lifted from her spirit, just as it had from her shoulders. These teachings lived not only in the desert, but in the hearts of all who heard them. For the sand was not only punishment, it was symbol. It reminded every soul that burdens, when carried in silence, only grow heavier. That even the smallest wrongs, if not released, will weigh down the spirit. Now, as you drift in this story, you too may feel the desert around you. The air is cool, scented faintly with dry earth and distant sage. The stars above are steady, watching ancient companions. Beneath you, the sand is soft, shifting gently under your feet. A pouch rests upon your back. It is small, almost weightless, yet you feel it. You know it is there. With each step, the burden whispers. And yet, with each breath, you grow calmer, for you know you will set it down. The lesson of the sand is gentle. It does not cling forever. It teaches, then releases. It weighs down, then lifts away. And when it is gone, you are lighter than before, free to walk without burden, free to rest without ache. Now the desert grows softer in your mind. The stars blur, like silver dust drifting. The dunes fade, like waves dissolving into mist. The pouch upon your back grows lighter, lighter still, until it vanishes. There is no burden now, only the quiet peace of release. The story folds itself away. The sand returns to the earth. The stars shine steadily, guiding you deeper into calm. Your body feels heavy, safe, settled. Your breath flows slowly, gently, like wind across dunes. You are free of the burden. You are free to rest. Let us drift onward. Let the sands be still. Now rest as the stars return. The night opens like a quiet book. The desert has folded into stillness, the winds have grown soft, and the fire of day has vanished beyond the horizon. Above, the sky blossoms wide and deep, scattered with countless stars. They shimmer like watchful eyes, steady and unblinking, woven into patterns older than memory. In ancient times, there were those who said that the stars were not only lights, but guardians, silent judges gazing upon the earth without anger, without praise. Their gaze did not burn. It did not wound. It simply remained. For to be seen, always, endlessly, was its own kind of trial. Some tribes, some villages, turned to this truth when a heart had strayed. Not every wrong was met with chains. Not every fault was met with the lash of words. Instead, the guilty were sent into the night. They were led beyond the fires of the village, beyond the circle of laughter and song, into the wide arms of the dark sky. There they were told to sit until the dawn, to sit in silence, to feel the gaze of the stars. At first, the punishment seemed gentle. There were no blows, no heavy burdens to carry. Only the night, only the endless glittering of the heavens. The wrongdoer sat upon the earth, the cool soil beneath their hands, the breeze brushing their cheeks. They looked up and saw 1,000 silver sparks scattered across the velvet dark. But as the hours stretched, the stillness grew heavy. The stars did not blink. They did not turn away. They seemed to watch with patience beyond human measure. Every thought, every memory rose beneath their gaze. The one who had spoken falsely, the one who had struck in anger, the one who had turned away from kindness. Each felt the eyes above. They felt small, fragile, unable to hide, and so the night became a mirror. The sky reflected not only light, but the soul itself. In the hush of the hours, guilt stirred, regret softened, truth rose like the moon climbing the horizon. By dawn, when the east began to pale with silver, the wrongdoer was no longer the same. They had been watched, they had been seen, and in being seen, they had begun to see themselves. There are old stories of such nights. One tells of a shepherd who had stolen from his kin. He was placed at the edge of the valley, where the hills opened to a great plain of stars. He sat with his cloak drawn tight, restless and ashamed. But as the hours passed, the stars did not condemn him. They only gazed. One by one, the constellations rose. The hunter, the serpent, the bird with wings outstretched. Each seemed to whisper not words, but reminders, that nothing hidden stays hidden, that even the smallest act is held beneath the endless sky. By the time dawn touched the hills, the shepherd's heart had shifted. He returned not as one burdened, but as one humbled. Another tale speaks of a young woman whose words had been cruel, sharp as thorns. She was sent to the shore, where the sea and sky became one endless horizon of starlight. She sat beside the waves, the water folding in and out like slow breathing. The stars reflected in the ocean, making the sea itself seem alive with eyes. She tried to look away, but the reflection followed. It was as though the heavens had doubled their gaze. Through the long night, she felt the weight of her voice, her actions, her silence. By dawn, her heart had softened. She returned to her people with gentler words, as though the stars themselves had brushed her spirit clean. The punishment of the watchful stars was never cruel. It was not meant to break the body. It was meant to awaken the soul. For in the presence of the infinite, pride grows small. In the hush of the endless, falsehoods dissolve. And beneath the gaze of the stars, one feels both tiny and cherished. A single life beneath an eternal sky. As you listen now, imagine yourself beneath such a night. The ground is cool, the earth breathing faintly beneath your hands. The air carries the scent of pine or sage or distant water. Above you, the sky spreads wide and silent. The stars shine, patient and bright, watching without judgment. You are not punished here. You are simply held in their gaze. The longer you remain, the more you feel their presence. They do not rush you. They do not leave. They only remain, steady and eternal. Your thoughts rise like small clouds, drifting and dissolving. The burdens you have carried feel lighter here. The mistakes, the regrets, the unspoken words. They are seen, and in being seen, they begin to loosen. The stars do not cling to them. They let them drift, just as they let comets pass, just as they let clouds move. Nothing remains forever under their gaze except the light itself. The night grows deeper. The constellations wheel slowly overhead like great ships sailing a silent sea. The Milky Way arches above, a river of silver dust. Perhaps it is a path for spirits. Perhaps it is the memory of all who have lived before. It flows endlessly, carrying with it both sorrow and peace. You rest beneath it, your breath matching its gentle tide. And then, slowly, gently, the east begins to glow. The stars, one by one, fade into the light of dawn. Their watch has ended. Their gaze softens. They sink into the brightening sky, leaving behind only the memory of their presence. You feel lighter. You feel calm. You feel seen. The punishment has become blessing. The long night has become healing. The stars remain within you, their quiet strength folded into your spirit. And as the sun rises, you know they will return again when the sky grows dark once more. Now, let the stars close their eyes. Let the sky soften into morning. Let the weight of the night lift from your shoulders. You are safe. You are held. You are free to rest. Let us drift onward. Now rest as the stars return. The night is deep and still. A hush lies across the land like a blanket of velvet. The stars linger overhead, but their shine begins to soften. Far in the distance, beyond hills, beyond forests, there rests a village where stone paths wind between homes of wood and clay. And at its center stands a bell. It is not a bell of grandeur, not gilded, not polished with jewels. It is simple, hung from an arch of timber, its bronze darkened by years. Yet when it moves, when the mallet touches its side, a sound emerges that is more than sound. It is like breath turned into music. It is like memory folded into air. Each dawn, as the first pale light spills over the rooftops, the bell rings, one slow chime, then another. Its voice carries over the fields, through the doorways, into the ears of all who wake. Not loud, not sharp, but steady, soft, endless in its patience. Long ago, the elders of this village gave the bell a purpose. It was not meant to call to war, not meant to summon for harvest. It was meant to remind, to whisper into every heart, remember the paths you have walked, remember the choices you have made, remember the harmony of life. The bell became a keeper of memory, not of stone or paper, but of the spirit. Those who had erred would pause at its sound. Those who had spoken with cruelty would lower their eyes. Those who had stolen, even in secret, would feel the note pressed gently upon their chest. The bell did not punish. It did not accuse. It simply reminded. And in that reminder, hearts would shift. The villagers spoke of it as though it were alive. They said the bell held the voices of ancestors, folded into its bronze. When it rang, the dead spoke in a language too vast for words, a language only the soul could hear. The old believed that even the winds carried its chime upward, offering it to the mountains, to the rivers, and to the skies where gods listened in silence. Imagine standing beneath that bell at dawn. The air is cool. A thin mist drifts across the earth, silvered by morning light. The bell moves. Its tone rises, soft and low, then fades like a sigh across the valley. You feel it not only in your ears, but in your bones, in your breath, in the space between each thought. Some tell of a youth who carried anger in his heart. His words cut sharper than blades, and his fists found trouble. One morning he wandered beneath the bell as it rang. The chime struck, and he stopped. It echoed through him, and in its fading sound, he felt the weight of every quarrel, every harsh word he had spoken. The bell did not scold. It did not shout. But its reminder lingered. And slowly, day by day, the boy's heart softened, as though the bell had rubbed his spirit smooth like a river stone. Another tale speaks of a woman who had forgotten gratitude. She worked hard, but bitterness followed her, shadowing each step. When the bell rang, she felt it like a hand upon her shoulder. She paused, lifted her eyes to the sky, and remembered the gifts she had overlooked. The laughter of children, the scent of bread, the warmth of sun, the sound of the bell became her prayer, her morning call to grace. Through it, she remembered joy. The bell was more than bronze. It was ritual. It was a thread that tied each person to the next. Every morning, they all heard it together. They all breathed it together. And in that shared moment, they were one, even if their paths had strayed, even if their hearts had stumbled. In some lands beyond this village, there were temples with bells of remembrance too. Monks would rise in the twilight, barefoot upon the stones, and strike the great bells that hung in tall towers. The sound rolled across valleys, touching farms and forests, carrying through mist and morning. People far away, who could not see the bell, would still pause when its voice reached them. Even without knowing the temple, even without knowing the monks, they felt the same reminder. Life is short, choices matter, the world is fragile, and we are called to kindness. The sound of the bell is like water over stone. It wears away hardness without force. It shapes without demand. Every note is gentle, yet it lingers longer than the loudest shout. It does not need to be remembered. It becomes memory itself. As you listen now, imagine that bell ringing softly in the distance, one slow note, folding into the air. The sound spreads like ripples in a pond. It touches your ears, then your chest, then your quiet thoughts. You feel its weight and its lightness at once. It does not blame. It does not wound. It only reminds. The bell tells you of paths once taken. It tells you of the possibility to walk another way. It tells you of forgiveness, waiting like dawn itself. And in its steady song, you feel your heart loosening, your breath deepening, your spirit resting. The night fades gently into morning. The mist lifts, the fields glow, the world awakes once more. The bell rings again, and its final note folds into silence. Yet the silence is not empty. It is full, like the hush of stars before sunrise. It is alive with memory, with gentleness, with the soft urging of life. And as you rest here, carried by the rhythm of the bell's song, you are reminded too. You are seen. You are held. You are free to begin again. Now let the sound drift into quiet. Let the morning rise in peace. Let the bell's reminder fold into your dreams. Let us drift onward. Now rest, as the stars return. The night is gentle. A hush folds itself across the earth, like a great blanket of stillness. Above, the stars glimmer faintly, as if breathing with the rhythm of your heart. The moon lingers low, soft and silver, casting pale light upon the quiet stones of an ancient road. It is along this road that a story unfolds. Long ago, in cities built of clay and marble, where fountains murmured and lanterns glowed against the dark, there was a practice known by all. It was the walk. The slow, steady walk of repentance. Not hurried, not forced, but taken step by step, breath by breath, with silence as a companion. In these quiet cities, mistakes were not always met with punishment. There were no lashes, no harsh decrees for every fault. Instead, there was the road. To walk upon it was to face the heart, to soften the spirit, to let the stones beneath one's feet wear down the weight carried within. Every soul knew the path. Every soul, at some time, would walk it. The path itself wound gently, weaving through gardens, across rivers, between open fields where reeds swayed in the wind. It was not a prison, nor a punishment of chains. It was a return, a way to come back to balance. The old believed that each step held meaning, one step for each hurt given, one step for each shadow carried. The more a heart resisted, the longer the road stretched, but the softer the heart became, the closer the end appeared. At dawn, those who sought forgiveness would begin. They walked barefoot, their souls pressed to earth, feeling each stone and grain of dust. The cool air clung to their skin, and birds sang from the branches as if guiding the way. With each step, their breath slowed. With each step, their thoughts softened, and slowly the wall of pride built so high within them began to crumble. There is a tale of a man who once lied, shattering the trust of his brother. He could not bear the weight of his deceit, so he entered the road. At first his strides were quick, restless, eager to finish, but the path seemed to stretch endlessly before him. Every hurried step only made the journey longer, so he slowed. He let his breath fall into rhythm with the stones beneath his feet, and in that slowness the truth revealed itself. By the time he reached the end, his heart was soft again, ready to speak honestly, ready to mend the bond he had broken. Another story tells of a woman who had spoken with cruelty. Her words were sharp, leaving wounds upon gentle hearts. When silence fell heavy upon her spirit, she turned to the walk. At first her thoughts swirled, excuses and reasons tangled like vines. But the steps did not let her escape. They pressed her into stillness. They carried her into humility. And when at last the road returned her to the city, her voice was changed. Her words grew lighter, her speech kinder, like water flowing over smooth stone. The walk was not only for those who had harmed others. It was also for those who had harmed themselves, for those who carried guilt like a heavy cloak, for those who had forgotten their worth. The path welcomed them too. Every step whispered, "You are still here. You may begin again." Some said the path itself was alive, that the earth remembered, that the stones carried the weight of centuries of footsteps, each bearing the sorrow and hope of countless souls. And when one walked upon them, the stones absorbed the heaviness, leaving the traveler lighter, clearer, renewed. Imagine now the feel of that road, the quiet of dawn, the hush of fields stretching outward, touched by the first glow of sunlight, the sound of your own steps, slow and steady, like a heartbeat, each footfall meeting the earth, each breath releasing what no longer needs to stay. The walk is not hurried, it is gentle, it is a prayer without words. The elders taught that forgiveness was not given by others alone. Forgiveness grew from within, like a small flame. The walk was the tending of that flame, protecting it from winds of anger and fear, feeding it with patience until it glowed steady and calm. Along the path, there were places to pause. A grove of olive trees where shadows danced across the ground, a bridge of stone arching over quiet waters, a rise of land where the horizon spread wide and the sky touched the earth. Each place carried its own silence, its own invitation to reflect, to breathe, to remember the gentle truths of life. And always, the path led home. Not to exile, not to loss, but home where doors stood open and hearts waited. The walk was not to leave, but to return, changed, softened, whole. Those who watched the walkers did not mock. They did not scorn. They bowed their heads in respect, for they knew that one day they too would walk. They too would place their burdens upon the road. They too would count their steps in quiet atonement. The slow walk of repentance became a rhythm of life, as natural as seasons, as steady as the rising and setting of the sun. Through it, the people learned humility. They learned that mistakes were not the end. They were doorways, leading to softer ground, leading to gentler skies. The road still lives in memory. Some say that even now, if one listens closely at dawn, footsteps can be heard along the wind, not hurried, not lost, but steady, moving toward forgiveness, moving toward peace. And as you lie here, listening, perhaps you feel those steps within you too, slow, patient, each one releasing what was heavy, each one carrying you closer to rest, closer to lightness, closer to the quiet comfort of peace. Let the stones of the old path hold your burdens now. Let the air of dawn carry them away. Let the walk of others become your own dream. Soft steps, gentle breath, forgiveness unfolding like morning light. Now the road fades into silence. The city rests, the fields sigh, and the stars, watching from above, close their eyes. Let us drift onward. Now rest as the stars return, the night is still. A hush lies over the earth, as though the world itself is breathing softly, resting in silence. Above, the stars glow faint and kind, their light steady as ancient lanterns burning in the dark. The air carries the scent of wood smoke, faint and distant, mingling with the cool breath of evening. The sound of a temple bell lingers, fading into the quiet. In this hush we drift to lands where mountains rise like sleeping giants, where rivers wind in silver lines through forests of bamboo and pine, where old monasteries rest upon cliffs, their walls painted with the touch of centuries. And here, in these sacred places, stories were told of the wheel, not a wheel of iron, not one bound to chains or fire, but the wheel of life, a turning circle of birth and death, of joy and sorrow, of lessons carried and lessons learned. This wheel was said to hold every soul, guiding them through endless cycles, until at last the heart grew still and free. The people called it samsara, the wandering, the flowing, the journey that has no beginning and no end, each life a step, each step a teaching. The wheel turned slowly, patiently, never rushing, never pausing, always moving with the rhythm of eternity. The old masters spoke gently of this wheel. They did not describe it as punishment, but as learning. Each turn of the circle brought new chances. Each birth carried whispers of what came before. The mistakes of one life returned as lessons in the next, softened, reshaped, like a pot of clay spun again upon the wheel of a potter. There is a tale told of a farmer. In one life he was careless, wasting grain, mocking the poor. When the wheel turned, he was born into hunger, into fields where food was scarce. At first he knew only sorrow, but over time, compassion bloomed within him. He learned the sweetness of sharing. He learned the comfort of kindness. And when he left that life, he carried the lesson like a lantern. The wheel turned again, and his heart was gentler, wiser, brighter. Another story spoke of a warrior. He once sought only conquest. Steel and pride filled his days. But the wheel turned and he awoke not as a warrior, but as a bird, fragile, light, learning to fly among branches. He knew the joy of freedom, the softness of sky. And in this new form, he learned patience, he learned peace. When he returned to human form, he carried the memory of wings, and his heart no longer longed for war. The wheel was vast. It turned through realms of light, where joy was endless. It turned through realms of shadow, where suffering deepened. Yet in each place, lessons were planted like seeds, and no matter how far a soul wandered, the wheel carried it forward, toward awakening, toward stillness, toward peace. The wheel was drawn in sacred halls. Monks painted it upon walls, circles filled with images of gods, spirits, animals, humans, all bound within the turning. At the very center, 3 animals were shown: a pig, a rooster, a snake. They turned together, symbol of ignorance, desire, and anger. They were not enemies, but reminders of the forces that bound souls to the wheel, pulling them round and round. And yet, surrounding them were paths of escape, ways to step off the wheel, ways to find freedom. But the masters never hurried their students toward freedom. They spoke softly. They said, even the wheel itself teaches patience, for cycles must turn and lessons must ripen in their own time. A seed does not rush to flower. A river does not race to the sea. The wheel turns, steady and calm, until the soul is ready to rest. Imagine now the wheel itself, not harsh, not cruel, but luminous, turning slowly in the vastness of night. Each spoke a lifetime. Each turn a new dawn, a new breath, a new chance to love and to learn. The wheel hums with quiet sound, like a prayer spoken without words. Its light glows like the moon. Its movement is gentle as drifting clouds. You are upon this wheel too. Every step you have taken, every tear, every smile, they are part of the turning. And in the stillness of this night, you may feel the softness of its motion. Not heavy, not binding, but guiding, carrying you with patience, like a mother carrying a child. The old texts tell of bodhisattvas, luminous beings who chose not to leave the wheel, though they could. They stayed, walking among others, guiding with compassion, whispering to the lost, comforting the weary. They became lanterns upon the path, showing that no turn of the wheel was without purpose. No cycle was empty. Every moment held the chance for awakening. In the silence of mountain monasteries, monks sat with eyes closed, listening inward. They did not fear the wheel. They breathed with it. They felt its rhythm within their own hearts. And in that stillness, they found peace. They saw that each life, no matter how small, was part of a great teaching. Even suffering, when faced with patience, became a teacher. Even loss, when held with kindness, became a guide. And so the wheel turned on, not as iron, but as light. Not as punishment, but as song. Its turning was the slow music of existence. Its cycle was the endless breath of the cosmos. As you listen now, imagine that wheel, vast and serene, turning in the night sky. Its glow is gentle, wrapping around you like a soft blanket. Its hum is calming, like a lullaby carried by the wind. With each turn, your burdens ease. With each turn, your spirit rests. There is no hurry. There is no end to fear. Only the quiet turning, the soft breath of eternity. The stars above seem to echo the wheel, circling in endless rhythm. The moon drifts, steady, unhurried. The earth itself turns, carrying night toward dawn. Everything moves in cycles. Everything returns. Everything is held within the great circle of time. Now the wheel slows in your mind, not stopping, but softening. Its light fades into starlight. Its hum fades into silence, and you rest in its peace, weightless, safe, calm. Let us drift onward. Now rest as the stars return. The night is gentle now. A hush spreads across the land like a veil of silk. The stars lean closer, their silver light scattered across the earth. A pale moon hangs above, calm and still, watching like a patient guardian. The air carries the faint fragrance of smoke, as if from a fire long extinguished, leaving only quiet traces behind. In this dreamlike hour, let us drift to places where deserts stretch like sleeping seas of sand, where small villages huddle near rivers, and temples of stone rise against the horizon. In these sacred lands, fire was not only warmth, but teacher. And from fire came ash, a soft reminder of what once was. There is an ancient story of those who wore the cloak of ashes, not of silk nor wool nor bright-dyed cloth, but a robe of dust, gathered from sacred flames, spread over the skin like a second garment. It was not to wound, it was not to shame, it was to whisper of impermanence, for ash is what remains when fire has passed. It is the shadow of wood, the memory of flame. It tells us that all things, no matter how strong, return at last to dust. The cloak of ashes was a lesson carried on the body, reminding the heart to bow, to soften, to be humble. Imagine a figure at dawn stepping from a quiet temple. The sky is colored with the first pale gold of sunrise. He is covered in ashes, soft gray upon his skin. He walks slowly, each step measured, each breath steady. The people watch him, not with scorn but with silence, for they know the ashes are a prayer. They know the robe is not of disgrace, but of remembrance. In India's old paths, holy men covered themselves in ash from sacred fires. They called it a mark of devotion. Ash upon the brow, ash upon the chest, ash upon the arms. They whispered that fire consumes, but also purifies. The ash that lingers is not death, but truth. It tells of the fleeting nature of all things. A blossom that blooms will fall. A flame that rises will fade. A body of strength will one day be dust. To wear the cloak of ashes was to walk in constant remembrance of this gentle truth. In other lands, those who had erred were sometimes wrapped in ash, not as torment but as a mirror. The ash clung to their skin, soft and weightless but heavy with meaning. It whispered to them, "Your pride too will pass. Your anger too will fall to dust." The cloak was not a cage but a guide, and when they shed it, they shed part of their burden as well. Ash is fragile. It scatters at the faintest breath of wind. It cannot be held for long, and that is its lesson: to live gently, to release easily, to remember that nothing we cling to will remain forever. There is a parable of a proud king. He built towers of marble and filled his halls with treasures. But the wise priest of his land said to him, "Wear the cloak of ashes for a single day." The king resisted, for he thought it lowly. But in time he agreed. Ashes were placed upon him, and he walked his city with dust upon his skin. The people bowed not to his jewels, but to the humility upon his brow. And when he returned to his palace, he looked at his treasures differently. He saw that one day they too would fade. His pride melted like wax before fire, and in its place he found peace. The cloak of ashes carried no weight, yet it bore the deepest reminder. Those who wore it walked slower, their voices softened, their eyes grew kinder, for ash turned the heart away from the grasping of the world and back toward the stillness of the soul. The cloak was also tied to fire rituals, where flames rose as prayers to the heavens. When the fire was gone, ashes remained. Priests gathered them carefully, touching them to the foreheads of seekers. The cool dust was a blessing. It said, "Remember you are dust, and to dust you shall return." But in this truth, find freedom. Ash became more than reminder of death. It became symbol of rebirth. From soil and ash new sprouts arise. From endings beginnings are born. The cloak, then, was not a sign of despair, but of renewal. To wear it was to stand between death and life, knowing both, fearing neither. In the silence of night, picture yourself beneath that cloak. Soft dust rests upon your shoulders, your arms, your brow. It is not heavy. It does not bind. It simply rests, whispering gently of impermanence. And in that whisper you feel lighter, freer. Your worries too, like ash, may scatter in the wind. your burdens too may fall to dust. Only the spirit within remains steady, unshaken, eternal. The cloak of ashes glows faint in the moonlight. It is quiet, it is humble, it is truth resting upon skin, and as the night deepens, as stars stretch across the heavens, the cloak softens, fades, and falls away. The ashes return to the earth, and you are left only with stillness, and the peace of knowing all things pass, and all things are reborn. Now let the ashes scatter into the wind. Let them fall back to the soil, where they will nourish roots unseen. Let them drift like pale feathers, light and calm. And as they fall away, you too may rest. The cloak is gone, but its lesson remains, soft as breath, endless as night. Let us drift onward. Now rest as the stars return. Night stretches wide, and the earth sinks into stillness. The stars shine softly, scattered like pearls across a velvet sky. A pale moon hangs above, not bright, but calm, silver as a bowl of water. The wind drifts slow, carrying only a hush, like the breath of sleeping trees. In this gentle hour, the world grows light, as if balanced between dream and memory. Now, let us wander into a story of names, names that were not shouted nor written in stone, but names carried on the breath, whispered into the air like prayer. For in ancient paths there was a practice known as the path of whispered names. It was a way to heal pride, to soften anger, to teach reverence. Those who had stumbled, those who had hurt others or lost their way, were guided to sit in silence and to speak aloud the names of those who came before them. Imagine a circle of figures gathered in the cool darkness of a temple courtyard. Torches flicker at the edges, their flames small, their light gentle. The air smells faintly of smoke and jasmine, and in the center one kneels, head bowed. His voice is low, unsteady at first, but then with care he begins to recite. He speaks the name of his father, the name of his mother, the name of a teacher who once guided him, the name of an elder who once blessed him. Each name leaves his lips like a drop of water falling into a still pool. Each name stirs the air, echoing softly, then fading into silence. The path of whispered names was not punishment in the way of chains or lashes. It was a way of returning. For when one remembers those who came before, the heart softens, the ego bends, and the soul recalls its place in the endless stream of life. Names are more than sound. They carry weight like stones across a river. They hold memory, laughter, sorrow, and love. To whisper them is to call forth the presence of those long gone, to let their spirits rest upon the air for a moment. And so, those who whispered found themselves held not by judgment, but by the gentle embrace of memory. In some lands, it was said that each person carries a thread of breath, woven together with the voices of their ancestors. When that thread is broken by pride or harm, it can be mended only by reverence. And reverence was learned through the simple act of speaking, of bowing the head, of letting the tongue carry names like offerings into the night. Picture the wrongdoer, his knees resting on cool stone, his voice steady now, his heart slowed by rhythm. He repeats the names until they flow like a river. Grandfather, grandmother, teacher, friend, on and on the chant continues, a soft current moving through the silence of the temple. The others around him listen, not in judgment, but in stillness. They too feel the presence of those named, as if the air has grown thick with unseen company. This practice was not meant to shame. It was meant to remind. For every wrong act is a forgetting of kindness, a forgetting of humility, a forgetting of all those who once guided us with love. By whispering names, one remembers again. By whispering names, the heart bows. There is an old tale of a young man who refused the path. He was proud, strong, filled with anger. When told to whisper the names of his family, he scoffed, saying he needed no one, owed nothing. But in the silence of the night, he heard another's chant, soft and steady, name after name like the beating of a drum. And as he listened, he felt the air change, as if the ancestors themselves had gathered around. The weight of their presence fell upon him, and tears came unbidden. He rose the next day, humbled, and he too walked the path, whispering each name until his voice broke into quiet weeping. In this way, the cloak of pride was lifted. In this way, the river of memory carried him back to gentleness. Names are sacred threads, binding the living and the departed. They are like stars, each one shining with its own light, yet all together forming a sky of meaning. When one walks the path of whispered names, it is as if stars are being spoken back into the heavens, one by one, with each breath. The chant was often long, sometimes lasting hours, sometimes lasting through the night. Voices grew hoarse, but hearts grew light. And when the chanting ended, silence did not feel empty. It felt full, like a vessel overflowing. The wrongdoer would rise with softened eyes, as if his very body had been washed clean by the river of words. In the quiet of your own dreaming, imagine yourself walking this path. You stand in the courtyard of stars. The air is cool, the night deep. Before you rest a low fire, glowing, breathing. You lower your head and let the first name fall from your lips. It drifts into the air, rising like smoke, fading into the dark. You speak another and another. Each name steadies you, grounds you. Each name opens the heart a little more. The names may be of those you knew, or of those long before your time, whose faces you never saw, but whose breath you carry still. Each name is a bridge, a step along the path of memory. And with each step, your spirit feels lighter, as if carried by unseen hands. The whisper becomes a chant. The chant becomes a river. The river becomes silence. And in that silence there is peace. The ancients believed that when names are spoken with reverence, they do not vanish. They linger, like soft echoes, woven into the fabric of night. And so even when the voice grows tired, the names remain, whispered forever by the stars themselves. Now, the temple fades into shadow. The fire grows low, the voices drift away. All that is left is the hush of night, and the sense of being held by something greater, something endless, something tender. The path of whispered names is not only for those long ago, it is for any who seek peace, any who wish to remember, any who long to lay down the burden of pride and rest in reverence. For in the end, all voices are threads in one great tapestry, all names part of one eternal chant. Let the names fall now into stillness. Let the stars hold them. Let the earth cradle them. And let your heart rest, gentle, unburdened, serene. Now close your eyes and drift. The names have been spoken. The silence is full. The night is deep. Let us drift onward. Now rest as the stars return. The night is quiet. The sky above is wide and calm, filled with a slow scattering of stars. A pale moon drifts behind a thin veil of cloud, its light softened, gentle as milk poured into water. The air is cool, carrying the faint scent of earth after the day's warmth has faded. All around, silence rests like a blanket, tender and wide. It is in this hush that we turn our gaze toward a light. Not the sun, not the stars, but a flame. The flame rises from an ancient hearth, steady and clear. Its glow is small yet endless, as if it belongs to a deeper rhythm than time itself. This is the sacred flame, honored in temples, guarded in sanctuaries, carried across centuries by hands that never let it die. It is not the fire of forest burning, not the fire of anger or destruction. It is the fire of remembrance, of purity, of warmth. In the lands of the Zoroastrians, fire burned within their temples. It was kept alive day and night, a living thread between the human world and the divine. They believed it was not only heat, not only light, but the very presence of truth, the breath of the eternal. Priests tended it with care, adding wood in silence, their hands moving slow, their hearts bowed low. The flame became more than flame. It was the reminder that even in darkness, there is always something that shines. Elsewhere, in the Vedic rituals of ancient India, fire was the messenger. They called it Agni, the one who carried prayers to the heavens, the one who linked earth to sky. Offerings were placed into the fire, grains, butter, sweet herbs, not to be destroyed but to be lifted, to rise in smoke as whispers carried beyond human reach. The crackle of the wood, the curl of the smoke, the glow of the flame, all became part of the hymn, part of the dialogue between mortal breath and divine eternity. But fire was not only in temples, it was in the hearths of simple homes. It was the glow that warmed families in cold nights, that boiled the water, that baked the bread, that softened the dark. It was the center around which stories were told, songs were sung, dreams were shared. Children fell asleep beside it, their faces brushed by its amber light. Elders sat near it, their hands stretched toward its warmth, their voices slow with memory. The sacred flame, in all its forms, was not worshipped as an object. It was cherished as a reminder that life is fragile, that light must be guarded, that what is pure must be tended with care. Just as a flame needs wood and breath to live, so too does the soul need reverence and kindness. Imagine now a quiet temple. The walls are smooth, the air still. At the center burns the fire, steady and tall. Its light spills across stone floors, painting the air with gold. You step close, feeling not heat, but peace. The flame moves like a slow dancer, its arms rising, bowing, swaying, never hurried, never harsh. It invites you into silence, into stillness, into warmth. The ancients believed that flame was a purifier. It burned away shadows not by force but by presence. Stand near a sacred flame, and the heart begins to quiet. The restless mind slows. The burdens of guilt and worry soften, as if the flame consumes them without smoke, leaving only calm. Some told stories of eternal fires, flames that had burned for centuries without dimming. They were tended by generations of hands, passed from elder to child, from guardian to guardian. It was said that as long as the flame remained, hope remained, memory remained, the thread between heaven and earth remained unbroken. Others believed that when a soul left the world, it became a spark, joining the great fire of creation. Each star in the sky was seen as one such spark, burning silently in the dark expanse. The flame on earth mirrored the flame in the heavens, both speaking of endurance, both speaking of light that does not end. Picture now a small fire burning in the night. You sit before it. The ground is cool beneath you, the sky wide above you. The flame flickers, its glow touching your face, its warmth brushing your hands. You breathe with it. Each inhale draws in its light. Each exhale softens your body, like wood yielding to fire, like shadow yielding to dawn. You hear the quiet crackle, gentle, steady, never loud. It is like a heartbeat, a reminder of something constant. The flame leans, then returns, sways, then steadies. It never clings, never resists. It dances with the wind, teaching the spirit to bend, teaching the heart to flow. In some places, ashes from the sacred flame were gathered. They were touched to the forehead, a mark of humility, a reminder of the cycle of birth and death. Ash and flame together spoke of impermanence. All that burns becomes dust. All that glows returns to earth. And yet, through the rising and falling, through the glowing and the fading, something eternal is revealed. A rhythm that never breaks, a light that never dies. There is a gentleness in watching fire. It does not rush, it does not demand. It simply moves, always alive, always changing, always the same. In its dance you see patience. In its glow you see mercy. In its warmth you see home. The sacred flame is not only in temples of stone, nor only in rituals of long ago. It is in the small lights we tend each day. The kindness we guard, the truth we honor, the compassion we keep alive. Each gentle word, each quiet act of love is its own small fire, passed hand to hand, generation to generation. Now the temple fades, the hearth fades, and all that remains is the soft flame before you. It glows steady, its light touching your breath, your thoughts, your dreams. You rest in its warmth, as if it is guarding you, as if it is keeping watch through the night. Let the flame glow within you now. Not hot, not fierce, but tender, a small steady ember in the center of your being. It flickers with peace. It glows with calm. It warms the silence of your rest. And so the sacred flame continues, within temples, within stars, within you. It does not end. It only moves, always alive, always gentle. Let us drift onward, like smoke rising into the night. Now rest, as the stars return. Breathe slowly. Let your body sink deeper into rest. The night around you grows quiet, like soft wings folding into silence. And now, in the stillness, a path appears. It is not a road of sharp turns or hidden doors. It is not a puzzle meant to confuse. It is a labyrinth, a single winding path. One line curling toward the heart, one journey inward, not to be solved but to be walked. In many lands, across oceans and centuries, people have traced this same spiral. On the stone floors of cathedrals in France, on the sand of deserts where winds carve circles, on the earth walked by the old tribes of the Americas. Each culture knew the labyrinth is not a riddle. It is a mirror. Unlike the maze, where walls rise to block you, the labyrinth has no tricks, no false turnings, no punishment for those who wander. There is only one way, flowing like a stream, bringing you from the outer edge to the quiet center. Imagine yourself standing at the entrance. The air is cool. The sky above holds a faint silver glow, as though the moon hides behind a veil. You place one foot forward, and the path welcomes you. The ground is smooth, lined with pale stones, warmed by countless footsteps before yours. You feel them, a memory of pilgrims and seekers, their breaths lingering like whispers of prayer. Step by step, you follow the curve, the way bends and folds, circling back, then leading forward again. It seems at times you are close to the center, yet the path pulls you outward once more. This rhythm is the rhythm of life, nearness and distance, approach and retreat, a weaving that is gentle and whole. In ancient Greece, the labyrinth was said to hold the Minotaur, a creature both feared and misunderstood. Heroes entered with swords, seeking conquest, seeking to slay. But beneath the myth, there is another truth. The beast is not always outside, it is within, and the path to the center is not a hunt, but a surrender. Walking slowly, you tame the wildness inside yourself, not with violence, but with patience, with breath. In the old Christian cathedrals, pilgrims who could not journey to far-off lands would walk the labyrinth instead. They called it a road to Jerusalem, a holy path beneath the vaulted arches of stone. Step by step, they carried their prayers, their grief, their hopes, their longing for grace. At the center, they knelt, not to conquer, but to rest. The labyrinth was the journey of the heart, folded into stone. Among the native peoples, labyrinths appeared in sacred designs. One was called the Man in the Maze. It showed a small figure at the entrance and a spiral path leading inward. To walk it was to live a life. Every turn was a choice, every circle a season, and at the very center waited the spirit of the sun, ready to welcome the traveler home. Now return to your own path. You walk slowly, breath steady. The air is soft. No one rushes you. The labyrinth does not demand speed. Its gift is time. Every step is a step inward, though the way may twist and coil. You realize this is how the soul learns, not in straight lines, but in spirals, not in haste, but in rhythm. The stones seem to glow faintly beneath your feet, as if carrying a hidden light. Each turn feels like a gentle bow, a soft invitation to release. Release your worries, release the weight of days, release the need to arrive quickly, for there is nowhere else to go. Only this single winding way. You drift deeper into the walk. Your mind quiets. Thoughts, like birds, settle into still branches. The labyrinth holds you. It does not judge. It does not test. It simply carries you inward, breath by breath. At last, you near the center. The path folds once more, curves like a slow wave, and then opens. There, at the heart, is a circle, small, sacred, waiting. You step into it. The air feels different here, still yet alive, as though the world itself pauses. You stand, or perhaps you sit, in this quiet heart of stone. The center is not a throne, not a prize, not a victory. It is a place of resting, a still point where the inner and outer meet. Close your eyes in this space. Imagine the weight of your life resting down into the earth. Every step you have taken, every turning of the path, is now gathered here. The center holds them all. You feel light, you feel safe, you feel at peace. And when the time comes to leave, you turn. The path does not vanish. It unfolds again, leading you outward. But you are not the same as before. You have touched the heart. You have walked with the spiral. You have carried your silence into the center and returned with quiet strength. The journey outward feels easier. Each step is soft, like petals drifting from a flower. You notice the way back is the same as the way in. No confusion, no trickery, only return. The labyrinth is a circle, not a prison. It is a breath that expands and contracts, a rhythm of entering and leaving, a reminder that life flows both inward and outward, and always returns to the center. When you step again to the edge, you turn once more. The path now lies behind you, glowing faintly, like a memory carved in silver. It will remain, ready whenever you wish to walk again. The night is calm. The stars shimmer faintly above, each one like a small flame, guiding, blessing. You feel the peace of the labyrinth linger within your chest, not heavy but light, like a gentle lamp that will not go out. The labyrinth within is always there. You carry it, folded deep inside. A single winding path, always waiting to be walked. When the mind is restless, you may enter. When the heart is heavy, you may enter. When the spirit longs for quiet, you may enter. And always you will find the same gift. A center, a circle, a stillness that belongs to you. Now the story softens. The stones of the labyrinth fade into shadow. The spirals dissolve into dream. The air grows slower, like the hush before dawn. And you, held in calm, drift like a leaf on still water. Let the labyrinth remain in your heart. Let its winding path cradle you into rest. There is nothing to solve. There is nowhere to run. Only this slow, gentle rhythm. Breathe. Close your eyes. The center is with you always. Now rest as the stars return. And the night carries you deeper into peace. The night opens gently, like a curtain of dark silk drawn aside by the quiet hand of time. Stars glimmer above, soft and watchful, their light like tiny lanterns scattered across a boundless sky. The air is still, yet filled with a hidden presence, as though the world itself is holding a breath. In that hush, a shape appears, simple, yet eternal. A cross, crowned with a loop, the Ankh, the key of life, the whisper of breath that does not end. Step with care into the land of the Nile. See the river as it glides through desert sands, silver under moonlight, endless as memory. Palm trees sway slowly in the warm breeze. Lotus blossoms float, their petals closed, waiting for the sun's return. On the river's edge rise the temples. Stone sanctuaries carved with prayer. Walls heavy with images of gods and kings, each carrying the Ankh in their hands, a gift from the heavens. The Ankh was not only a sign, but a breath-given shape. It spoke of life that flows beyond death, a current as steady as the river itself. Priests held it to their lips in ritual, as though inhaling the breath of eternity. Gods placed it before, the noses of mortals, a gesture of blessing, a silent promise. You shall breathe again.
The loop above the cross is like the rising sun, a circle with no beginning, no end. The path of the soul, unbroken. The arms stretch outward like the horizon itself, and the stem points downward, a root into the earth, binding heaven and ground together.
In this simple form, a whole universe rests. Imagine walking slowly through a temple hall. Columns tower, carved with lotus crowns. The air smells of incense, resin, wood, and sacred oils. Torches flicker, casting long shadows that sway like spirits along the walls. Every surface is marked with stories, the journey of Ra across the sky, the passage of Osiris into the underworld, the gentle hand of Isis bringing life from sorrow. And always, always, the Ankh appears, a key held close, a loop of eternity shining in the stone. Once in the old rituals, the Ankh was touched to the lips of statues, to the mouth of a god's image, to the form of a king carved in stone. It was called the opening of the mouth, a ritual of awakening. The stone figure, once silent, would breathe through the Ankh, not just symbol, but bridge, between stillness and life, between silence and song. Breathe now with the memory of that sign, slowly. Inhale as if drawing air through the loop itself. Exhale as though sending it down the stem, into the waiting earth. Each breath is eternal when carried with care. Each breath is sacred when joined to memory. And as you breathe, imagine the gods walking near. Ra, the sun, holding the Ankh as he sails his golden boat. Isis, the gentle mother, pressing it to the lips of her beloved child. Osiris, lord of the hidden realm, offering it to the departed, saying, "Death is not the end. Take this breath. Walk in peace." The Ankh was not only for kings. It was painted in tombs, carved on amulets, carried by common people who longed for protection. It rested close to the heart, woven into cloth, drawn in sand, marked in prayer. For all knew the truth. To breathe is to belong to the eternal, and each breath is a gift of the divine. Let the river guide you now. Step onto a small wooden boat. Its surface is smooth with age, its timbers creak softly, like an old lullaby. The oars dip gently into the Nile, pulling you into the current. The water is calm, a mirror of the stars above. Each ripple spreads outward, circles within circles, like the loop of the Ankh itself. You drift past reed beds. You hear the soft wings of night birds. You feel the cool night air brush across your face, a breath from the unseen. Somewhere on the shore, a temple flame flickers. Its light dances across the water, guiding you onward, a beacon of the eternal fire. As the boat glides, you remember the meaning of the loop. It is not only life in this moment, it is life that continues. Breath after breath, step after step, dream after dream. The Egyptians knew the soul moves like the river. It flows beyond the banks of the body, into hidden worlds, into dawns not yet seen. Picture now a great hall in the land of the dead. Osiris sits upon his throne, weighed with silence, crowned with stars. The soul enters, carrying the weight of its journey. But before fear can rise, a gentle hand extends. In that hand is the Ankh,
The gift of breath.
the gift of continuance. The soul accepts, and with that touch, death becomes passage. The heart grows light, the path unfolds once more. The Ankh is more than a sign of eternity. It is comfort. It is trust. It says, "Do not fear the turning of days. The breath within you is not fragile. It is endless, like the river, like the stars, like the rising sun. The boat carries you further still." The night grows deeper yet gentle. Shadows dissolve into silver. The river hums with quiet music, as though every ripple is a voice singing of endless breath. Your body feels light. Your chest rises and falls like the tide. The loop of the Ankh glows in your mind, a circle of calm that never breaks. You rest in the rhythm. Inhale, exhale. Each breath a gift, each breath a thread, each breath eternal. Soon, the boat drifts toward the shore again. Palm trees rise, soft against the horizon. A temple gate waits, carved with ankhs, each one shining faintly as though lit from within. You step gently onto the sand. The earth is warm beneath your feet. The air, still fragrant with river mist, wraps around you like a soft veil. You know now what the ancients knew. The Ankh is not only carved stone, it is not only gold or wood, it is within you. Every breath you take is the eternal breath. Every rise and fall of your chest is the loop itself, opening again and again. The temple fades, the river quiets. The stars remain, steady, luminous, singing softly of life without end. Let your own breath follow them. Calm, unbroken, a rhythm that carries you into stillness. The Ankh glows in your memory, gentle, steady, whole. Now drift into rest as the ancients once did. Now breathe as the Nile once flowed. Now sleep as the stars keep watch. Let us drift onward. And now rest as the eternal breath carries you deeper into peace. The night unfolds slowly, like a veil drawn across the sleeping earth. The air is calm and the stars are spread wide across the heavens. Yet among them one light bends gently, a curve of silver resting in the sky. The crescent moon, soft, delicate, a cradle of light in the dark. It hangs there quietly, not as a full blaze, but as a whisper, a promise that light returns in rhythm. It is never gone. It only turns, only wanes, only waits. The crescent has guided eyes and hearts since the earliest nights of humankind. It is the thin lamp of the desert traveler, the curve above the fields of grain, the emblem painted on banners and temples, a sign that the sky remembers. Step with care into the ancient silence. See the desert stretched beneath its glow. The sands are pale silver, cool beneath the breeze. Palms stand still in the distance, their shadows long and delicate. Above them, the crescent moon holds its place, like a guardian watching, like a mother holding a sleeping child. In Islamic lands, the crescent is honored as a sign of rhythm and time. It marks the months, the holy days, the sacred hours of fasting and prayer. When the crescent is sighted, a new cycle begins. Ramadan opens with its glow. Eid is welcomed beneath its smile. It is not worshipped, but cherished. A clock written in light, a reminder that even darkness is measured by hope's gentle return. Imagine standing on a quiet rooftop in Cairo centuries ago. The city hums beneath, lanterns flicker in narrow streets, and the call to prayer drifts like music across the air. Above all that sound and shadow, the crescent shines, a beacon for the faithful, a reminder that each night is part of a greater pattern. But the crescent belongs not only to one tradition. It was seen long before in temples of stone and in circles of standing rocks. To the pagans it was the bow of the goddess, the ark of Artemis, who watched over hunters and wanderers, the womb of Diana, who guarded forests and flowing rivers. It was the horn of fertility, the vessel of life, a cradle holding the seed of dawn. In some rites, women stood in circles under the crescent, raising their hands as though to catch its glow. They saw it as the maiden form of the goddess, youthful and new, a light just beginning. The crescent whispered of cycles, birth, growth, fading, and return, the promise that nothing ends forever. It only bends, like the curve of the moon, to begin again. The crescent glowed also in the eyes of sailors, those who traveled by sea with only the stars as maps. A slim silver arc rising above dark waves was comfort. It meant direction. It meant presence. The moon, even in its smallest form, was a guide. Many ships carved the crescent on their bows, a charm against storms, a prayer for calm waters. And so the crescent became a universal cradle. It held many meanings, yet all were soft, all were tender. It was never a harsh flame, but always a gentle reminder. Imagine now that you stand in a meadow, the night clear and wide. The air is cool, carrying the fragrance of earth and wild grass. Above you, the crescent moon leans across the sky. Its silver light falls on your skin like a soft touch. You feel the rhythm of its glow, a slow pulse that matches the rise and fall of your breath. Inhale, and the crescent brightens. Exhale, and the crescent softens. Each breath is part of its cycle, each sigh part of its turning. In ancient stories, the crescent was said to hold the dreams of children. When they slept, their hopes gathered in its hollow curve, safe until morning. In other tales, it was the boat of the gods, sailing through the sea of stars, a vessel carrying prayers, delivering them to the higher realms. Think of it now as a cradle, a silver cradle rocking gently in the sky. It carries time, but also carries you. It says you may rest. The cycle continues without you. The world is safe in its turning. You are safe in your sleeping. The crescent also whispers of patience. It is not full yet. It is not complete, but it does not hurry. It takes its time, moving slowly toward fullness. So too is life. Not all things arrive at once. Not all things shine immediately. There is beauty in waiting, in the gentle curve before the circle. There is hope in beginnings that are not yet whole. Now, see the crescent over a mosque's dome, its light twinned with the stars. See it carved into stone at old shrines, drawn upon pottery, woven into banners. See it painted in caves long before those temples, scratched into the walls by hands who looked up and marveled at the same curve you see tonight. Different ages, different lands, but the same moon. Always returning, always holding, you drift further into its glow. The crescent is no longer far. It is close now, a silver curve above your brow. It bends like a smile, like an arm pulling you close. It rocks you, a cradle of light, swaying with the rhythm of your breath. You feel the pull of its calm. Your body is heavy, sinking like soft sand. Your thoughts quiet, resting in the hollow of that light. The crescent is keeper of rhythm. It holds the days and nights, yet asks nothing of you. It says, rest now. The turning is mine to hold. Let the crescent carry you inward. Let it cradle your dreams. Let it remind you that even the thinnest light is enough to guide the night. Your breath is slow. Your body still. The crescent rocks gently above, a mother to the stars, a lamp to the earth. Soon you will drift beyond thought. Soon you will be carried into silence. But the crescent will remain, glowing softly, patiently, a curve of silver in the sky. Now rest, as the crescent moon holds you close. Now sleep, as its cradle rocks you deeper. Now dream, as the stars return to keep watch. Let us drift onward, into the embrace of the night. The night is wide and deep. The air is soft with silence. The stars shimmer faintly like tiny embers floating in the sky. Beneath their glow, there is a hush, a stillness that gathers around you like a warm blanket. In that stillness, something begins to form. A circle, not of stone, not of flame, but of quiet light. It appears on the ground before you, drawn not by hand, but by breath itself. The mandala, a circle within a circle, a sacred pattern, opening like a flower at the edge of sleep. In many lands, people have shaped these mandalas. In sand, in paint, in woven threads, they are more than pictures. They are maps of the spirit, mirrors of the sky. Every curve, every line is a step into balance. The circle holds the universe, and yet it also holds a single breath. Imagine monks kneeling by a low table. Their hands move gently. Grains of colored sand fall like whispers. Red for fire, blue for water, green for earth, yellow for air. Slowly, the sand gathers in patterns. Circles bloom within circles. Lotus petals unfold. Tiny pathways twist and turn, each leading to the center, the still point. They work for hours, for days, for weeks, not to hold the sand forever, but to let it go. When the mandala is complete, when the circles are perfect, they brush it away. The grains scatter into the wind, returning to the earth, returning to the rivers, returning to the silence. It is a lesson in impermanence. All forms fade, all shapes dissolve, but the stillness remains. See now the mandala before you. It begins with the outer ring, a simple line, unbroken, like the horizon around the earth. This ring is protection. It says you are safe. Inside this circle, no shadow can harm you. Inside this circle, your spirit rests. The next layer unfolds like petals, soft, wide, leaning outward in a quiet embrace. Each petal holds a symbol, small flames, tiny streams, little mountains, stars without names. They represent the world, the four directions, the elements of breath and stone, river and firelight. Deeper still, another circle. This one shines brighter. It is a ring of harmony. Every angle balances. Every color comes. The left mirrors the right, the top mirrors the bottom. It is balance made visible. As your eyes drift across it, your mind slows. Your thoughts begin to mirror that stillness. Soft, even, at rest. Now you enter the heart of the mandala. Here is the center, the still point. It is small yet infinite. A single dot, yet it holds the vastness of the universe. The monks call it the seed. From this seed all circles grow. From this seed all worlds unfold. You gaze into that center. It is not empty. It is filled with silence. The kind of silence that comforts. The kind of silence that heals. It is the silence beneath all sound. The pause beneath all breath. It is stillness without end. Stories tell us that the mandala is not only on the ground. It is also within. Your breath draws it. Your heartbeat marks its rhythm. Your mind rests in its center. The body itself is a mandala. The head is the crown. The heart is the center. The limbs are the petals reaching outward. Every circle turns within you, quietly, endlessly. When you close your eyes, you can feel those circles, the breath moving in and out, like a ring expanding and contracting, the heart pulsing, like a drum inside the circle, and the mind sinking, layer by layer, toward the still point at the core. In Tibetan halls, giant mandalas painted on silk hang like soft windows into other worlds. Their circles hold palaces, gardens, sacred beings. Each detail is a path, a stairway of color, a doorway of light. To look upon one is to travel inward. To rest within one is to remember that life is not a straight line, but a circle, that what leaves returns, that what fades is reborn. In Hindu temples, mandalas rise in stone towers. Carved patterns spiral upward, as if the whole building is a vast flower blooming toward the sky. Worshippers walk slowly around, step by step, circumambulating the sacred. Their movement itself is part of the circle, part of the unfolding design. Even far away in other lands, the circle appears. The medicine wheels of native peoples, the labyrinth paths of old cathedrals, the spiral carvings on ancient stones. Each is a mandala in its own way. Each is a reminder that the circle is everywhere. It belongs to all. It belongs to the soul. Now imagine the mandala of sand again. The monks lean close, their breath steady, their hands careful. The grains fall like rain. The colors bloom like spring. Yet even as they create, they know the circle will not last. They accept its passing, and so the mandala becomes a teacher. It says, hold lightly, love deeply, let go gently. The circle shows that nothing is wasted. Even when brushed away, the sand returns to rivers, to soil, to sky. Even when forms dissolve, stillness remains. Always, stillness remains. You are resting now within this mandala. The outer rings guard you. The petals surround you. The inner circles soothe you. The center draws you close. You are cradled in its balance. You are carried by its design. There is nowhere to go. There is nothing to do. Only to rest, circle within circle, breath within breath. Your body grows heavy. Your thoughts grow light. The mandala dissolves slowly, as sand dissolves in wind. But its stillness lingers, the silence remains, and within that silence, your soul drifts. Let the mandala fade now. Let the circles soften. Let the colors blend into night. The still point remains. The seed remains. The silence remains. It rests with you. It rests in you. Now drift with that stillness. Let the breath slow. Let the body sink. Let the circles turn without you. Sleep is the final mandala, the last circle of the night. It opens wide, and you fall gently inside. Rest now as the mandala dissolves into silence. Sleep now as the circles close in peace. Dream now as infinite stillness holds you safe. Let us drift onward into the center of the night.